That's where a lot of people kind of get lost because there's lots of things we can do, lots of things that are good, there's lots of things that are fun, some of them are not so fun. And I think also we often look for, okay, what action could I do that would be the most impactful today? The things that we do in doTERRA that have the most impact are super simple. And
Mhm.
it's not like you get to diamond because of this one big breakthrough. The accumulation, the
Mhm.
compounding effect of you
Mhm.
talking to people every day,
Mhm.
of you reaching out, of you following up. So I always prioritize new contacts every day. I don't necessarily give myself a number, but I'm going to reach out to new people every day, whether it's online or in person.
Good morning. My name is Andy Goddard, and I believe that you were born to be free. And doTERRA just happens to be the very best vehicle for creating freedom for you, for your loved ones, and freedom in all the ways. Financial, time, physical, emotional freedom is how you were meant to live, and doTERRA opens that door. So Natalie and I have been in the freedom fighting business for the last 18 years, and we're so grateful to be partnering with doTERRA. And we love sharing success stories with everyone. We are so inspired by hearing and learning the stories of others. So hence the doTERRA Business Success Podcast. So today we're super excited to hear from Veronique. So tell us, Veronique, where are you from?
So I'm actually from Quebec. That's in Canada, for those who don't know. My first language is French, so that's the accent you're hearing. But I now live in Ontario. I'm spending the summer in Quebec, though. We bought a cottage property in 2020, thanks to doTERRA. So I get to spend time near my parents and just enjoying the beauty of the summer here.
Amazing. Well, we're going to open up for you to just take us on your doTERRA journey. Tell us what life was like before doTERRA, what some of the struggles or just some of the pains were before finding doTERRA for you.
Yeah. So I was introduced to doTERRA in 2013. And I like to say that it was divine intervention because the timing, everything coming together was just not a coincidence. So I was pregnant with number four. I got introduced to essential oils the very month I lost my job. So as I was entering my fourth pregnancy, I knew I didn't have a job to go back to. And I didn't start using essential oils because I wanted a business. I just wanted a solution for my allergy. And as I started using them, I was like, what is this stuff? It helped me so much. And my kids were all little, and we had a lot of immune challenges that winter. And I would open my little book and look, okay, can I use this for bronchitis? Can I use this for all the stuff that was coming up? And every time I would use them, I'd be like, okay, that's really cool. But what really did it is a few things related to pregnancy. And then after I had my newborn, I used the oils for, and it worked so amazing. It was my midwife that said, you need to tell other moms about this. I meet so many moms that are looking for natural solutions, and what they're trying isn't really helping. They would love to avoid antibiotics. They would love to avoid all pharmaceuticals. So you need to tell other moms about this. So that's why I started my Facebook group where I would just tell other moms about what I was experiencing. And my upline at the time, of course, was like, oh, you should do this as a business. You should do this as a business. And as a lot of people, I was like, no, I'm just not good at selling. That's not my thing. I was a pastor before for 7 years. I studied in social work as very service oriented, and I didn't sales as a service until it clicked in, until I realized, and with her help, with the help of my upline as well, she said, listen, getting these solutions into people's homes is a major service. Look at your life now. And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, actually, that connection, that sale, that the connection to the solution is a tremendous service, and I could see myself. So that was how I started. But I had a major money mindset issues. I had a lot of blockages when it comes to making money and making sales and all of that. And we were in a really bad place financially. So like I said, I didn't have a job to go back to. My husband's salary could not support us, but I looked at things, I looked at the doTERRA opportunity, and I thought, what else am I going to do? Sending my kids to daycare would take an entire salary. And I don't want to do that anyways. I want to be the one raising my kids. And it just felt like God was like, here you go. You can do this. And I just went for it and really believed in what I could create with this. I was looking at all my uplines, and they were just all recent diamonds, and they all had little kids. And I thought, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. And it changed our lives. I know it sounds cliche, but it just did. It lifted us out of poverty, really. We were so close to not being able to pay our mortgage sometimes that my mother-in-law would help us out, or my friend would fill our fridge with groceries. Like, it was not, and yet I never felt like, oh, I need to make more money. But when doTERRA came in and all my money blockages were exposed, I thought, why am I living this way? I don't have to live this way. And I remember looking at the diamond potential in earnings. You see all the ranks, and I thought, if I could make $10,000 a month, it would fix all my problems. And that's what I fixed my eyes on. And I made my vision board and just went for it. And time wise, so it was about 3.5 years later that I hit diamond the first time. And I remember looking at my paycheck and telling my friend, I made $10,000 in 1 month. So exciting. And I never stopped. Like, that excitement never stopped. It was 12 years ago, right? And still absolutely love what I do. And now, obviously, many years later, you want other people to have that same experience with the business as you have, right? So I have the equal amount of passion as I have always had with helping people with their health, as I have with helping people really rise to their full potential and experience the financial and time freedom that we've experienced. So that's my story.
Amazing. Wow. So inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing. So you started out with, you said you had three kids, and then it was after the fourth that you,
Literally the month I gave birth is when I
yeah.
started my business. Timing.
Wow.
Funny. But
So,
yeah.
so your family is now four children. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Hmm.
So amazing. What a tremendous gift that you are to them and to your community. So, so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
So talk to us more about some of the practical things that you did. You start to catch the vision, you start seeing the healing power and sharing that with others. Exactly how did you do that? Were you doing it online? Were you doing it in person, classes?
Yeah, so this is 2014 by the time I started the business. So it was all in person. I was not, I mean, I used online for my customers, but not for enrolling. This is a story in of itself, but I was very, very introverted and did not like to talk to people I didn't know. That was always my husband's job. He's the extrovert, and I would always hide behind him. Once the conversation was started, then I could come in and talk. So this is a skill I had to learn. So I'm at home with my four kids, right? At the time, newborn. And what am I going to do? Well, I go to mom groups. So I looked in my area and all the play groups I could go to, there would be one on Monday, one on Tuesday, and I would go to as many as possible and make friends, even make friends at the park. And it sounds silly, but it was really hard for me to just have a conversation with a stranger. I had to learn to do small talk, how is your child? Like, that's just not something I would do before. I just keep to myself, watch my kids and be gone. But I would just start, small talk and get to know people. And I realized I'm also making friends, and I'm able to be a blessing in more ways than one. doTERRA would sometimes never come on the topic, but that's okay. I would just meet someone, and hear their story. So I got to really like that. And that's how I built a little bit of a community, really, and sharing the oils and inviting to my home and teaching classes, then teaching in other people's homes, just as many of us did in the very beginning. Is very, very simple, nothing elaborate. And I was so bad at sales that I remember one of my first classes. I taught this awesome class because I really loved education. But at the end, I was so scared of presenting, like, here you go now,
Mhm.
you're buying this,
Mhm.
that I didn't do that at all. I just didn't present any of the kits, nothing. So this lady comes to me
Mhm.
and she's like, "So how do we buy this stuff?" So that's yeah, that I had to literally learn everything. Eventually I joined also some networking groups as I started to accept that I was now a businesswoman, not just a stay-at-home mom trying to make some extra income, but I wanted a serious income out of this. So I started taking myself seriously and presenting myself differently as well, and made a lot of more contact that way. And yeah, it snowballs, right? Like one thing
Mhm.
leads to another. Oh, my mom needs this
Mhm.
too, and my friend, and so on. So lots and lots of in-person classes. I would say I pivoted like a lot of people in 2020 and
Mhm.
using the online platforms more, but
Mhm.
I still prefer in person. There's just so much magic that happens when we're
Right?
together that just can't happen on a Zoom. So, although I use
100%.
to meet people, I just do a lot better in
Mhm.
person. Yeah. Then they can follow me online and learn more,
Sure.
but it's very much both together. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love your part of the story about I had to learn how to talk to strangers. So how did you do that? Is there a book on that?
Book on that. The scripts that doTERRA put in the guides really helped me because
Uh-huh.
I tried those. That was really helpful for me. I know it seems like a lot of for some people that are just natural at it. They're like, I don't need that. But the scripts were very helpful for me. And over time, I just learned the things that felt natural to me, just
Mhm.
talking about their children and just asking people questions that I realized they wanted to talk about. So just to
Mhm.
get them talking and just being okay with wherever the conversation goes. But
Mhm.
yeah, I just learned to ask questions, and just really caring about the person in front of me. At first, I had to learn that too because you want to build your business. You're like, I want to talk about doTERRA. But I remember when the Canadian market opened, Alice Chedevy came and she did this talk on what it was contacts because it seemed like such a chore for a lot of people. She said, making contacts is just making friends. You
Mhm.
just wake up every day and you say, okay, God, which two people am I going to be helping today? Am I going to
Mhm.
be a blessing to today? And
Mhm.
once I heard that, I'm like, okay, that just removed all the pressure. And I was just okay with whatever the outcome of that conversation was. So that made the beginning of the conversation a lot more comfortable because I was okay with the outcome not necessarily being okay, I'm going to come to your class, right? So just trusting that the outcome of the conversation
Mm.
was going to go where it's going to go, where it's meant to be, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that mindset of non-attachment, right? I think
Yeah.
so often we come to a conversation with like, there's somewhere I need to get.
Yeah.
And I think that's where so many of the issues come in, so much of the anxiety, so much of the like, am I winning? Am I succeeding or am I failing? But if there's nowhere to get,
Yeah.
then it's like, yeah, it's all good.
But that's the thing, though. If we want to be genuine and we want people to understand that we're really there to serve and we are there to help them, it has to be
Mhm.
true.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have to be real. And yes, we know that doTERRA is a blessing. We know that if they
Mhm.
get these projects into their home, there's no negative to it. At the same
Mhm.
time, we don't want to come into a conversation with too much of an agenda either. And people sense that. I
Mhm.
sense that. When someone approaches
100%.
me because they want to get somewhere, I'm like,
Mhm.
walls come up.
Totally. So, so good. I love that phrase that you used in your story that early on you didn't realize that sales could be service.
Yeah.
And so what do you think flipped that switch for you?
A few things. I think in my mentoring with my leader, she helped me realize that really me avoiding the sales conversation was selfish in a way because I was more concerned about the way that people saw me,
Hmm.
received me, than really offering a real solution to them. She's like, you're keeping this from them because you're thinking too much about the way that you're perceived and what they're gonna think about you. And she's like, when you think about it, what do you think that is? I'm like, oh, that's pretty self-centered. So that hit me hard because that's the last thing I want. I
Hmm.
always wanted to be others centered, but sometimes our certain reactions are really disguised, and really when you look down at the root of it, you're still thinking about yourself. So that
Hmm.
was one of the things. And I don't know, I just saw this picture in my head of this person, me, and the connection in between was like I saw this picture of a gift, and that was the sale conversation. I'm just giving gifts to people. And without me having that conversation and getting these products into their homes, the education is pretty pointless, really. They can learn about all these wonderful things about essential oils, which I was talking about only at the time. I didn't really dive into the LLV that much. And now they know all these things, but I'm not helping them getting into their home. What's the point? So yes, sales is giving that gift. And I think
Hmm.
part of that too was um, that exchange. Well, I get paid for it. So how can that
Hmm.
really be a service? And again, my mentor was instrumental in that. She's like, okay, so imagine we both go to the same church. So you're at church and you're talking to this chiropractor, and he's talking about his services, and like you decide to go see him, and are you gonna be like, no, 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 don't pay me? No, is he gonna say like, no, 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 don't pay me, I'm just here to serve? No, there's an exchange of service, there's an exchange of product, there's a payment, and that's an investment in their health. Just like you're gonna be happy to pay your
Hmm.
chiropractor when he helps you, it's the
Hmm.
exact same thing. There's nothing wrong or dirty about it. And that
Yeah.
just pulled it from that
Wow.
that comparison with the chiropractor. I don't know why, but it did.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that analogy so much. We have one of our team members who says, think of yourself like Santa Claus. You're walking around with this huge bag of goodies that you get to bless people's lives with. And who doesn't love Santa Claus, right? Like he's just the image of goodness and grace and generosity. And so that gets to be us as we're going about offering these powerful healing tools. And
Yeah.
so I love that analogy. I've also
Hmm.
heard the analogy of imagine a server who keeps coming to your table and bringing water and menus and never asking for what you want. Like, what do you want? Like, we would think that server was crazy, right? Well, it's the
Yeah.
same thing as in doTERRA. If we just keep sharing samples and teaching and giving and whatever, like, and then never ask, so which oil, which kit is going to serve you best?
Hmm.
Let's get you started. That's people would think you're crazy. So,
Yeah, it's so true, and putting ourselves as on the other side as the customer when you're approached for something, any type
mhm,
of products that is being sold, or people give you a sample but then they don't follow up. Like I often think about
mhm,
that. It happened to me yesterday. I was like, oh, what was the name of that girl that was selling this? I wanted to contact
mhm,
her, but I realized she'd never follow up with me. I didn't know
mhm,
where to find her, and I had no idea how to get what she was
mhm,
selling. And I thought, this is what we do when we don't do
mhm,
that part of our job. Like we're like giving all this stuff, like here you go. But I
mhm,
wanted to be connected to that solution now, and I couldn't. So
mhm,
it really drives it home when you flip the roles and you're like, oh yeah, all of it
mhm.
is a service, even all of the follow-ups, because people
Right.
have other things to do and other
Mhm.
things to remember than remembering you. So you need to do your job here and be in their face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It's actually the most selfless and thing you can do. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge, huge breakthrough. Talk to us about, obviously, to get to Diamond, you don't just have a team of customers. Talk to us about what your process has been for finding builders or developing builders.
I think all of my leaders were customers first.
Hmm.
So at the beginning, I would just write a post on Facebook in my customer group and say, "Hey, I have a leadership position," because I created ghost accounts, right? And then I was looking to fill them. And then some of my customers would be like, "Hey, me, can I do this?" So
Hmm.
that's how I did it at first. And I enrolled a pretty big leader in doTERRA in my early years. So people always ask me, "How did you do it? How did you
Hmm.
enroll her?" I'm like, it was literally a one sentence, really lame Facebook post. There was
Hmm.
no magic in the post. It was just the timing, and she had seen some of my stuff, and uh I think it's just the consistency of it. I
Hmm.
always did that. I always talked about it. I did business opportunity meetings in person, started doing them online later on, and I was pretty excited actually about the doTERRA opportunity pretty early on, so I would tell people about it. And uh, sometimes it landed, sometimes it didn't. At the very beginning, I think, yeah, a lot of the leaders that I had at the beginning are not here anymore.
Hmm.
So I had to replace people quite a few times, like the spots quite a few times. Um,
Hmm.
but that's another thing that I just came to accept, that there's certain people that are with doTERRA for a season. Some people are lifers, and some people are just here for a time. And I just learned to kind of release and, okay, well, their season is done, and we're going to put someone else there. Yeah, so most of my leaders were customers, and I tend to do a lot of mentoring one-on-one. I do like my team calls, and I'm just maximizer, and all of these kind of strengths are not in my top strength. I'm very individual focused, so I like to a lot of one-on-one mentoring. That's how I've mentored a lot of my leaders. And yeah, I trying to think of what else I could say about that. They were all customers first, so the products is their passion. And I think the challenge over time has been getting them also as passionate about sharing the business with others, duplicating, as we're excited about the product. It's I always tell them, okay, so the business is just as much of a gift as as the product, and that's what we are working on now, is the duplication.
That's amazing. Tell us about kind of what that onboarding process is like, getting a new customer trained, getting them familiar with the product, and then for those who do raise their hand and want to do the like, first of all, how do you introduce the business? And then how do
Mhm.
you train on the business?
So with customers, I use emails, I use Instagram, I use Facebook. I really love that part. So that really comes easy. We have lots of stuff already set up on the platform, so I just basically onboard them, and then they just get the emails, and they learn about the products pretty easily. But I also do a lot of follow-ups individually. It takes a lot of time, but I realized that a lot of people are just overwhelmed with their health and taking care of themselves, especially women my age. It's just like taking a supplement is such a chore. Like,
Hmm.
it takes 30 seconds. So I
Uh-huh.
really help them implement that in their routine, and just follow up really closely, especially for a few months, and give them some tips on, habit stacking, and all the things that we take for granted that we know are really
Hmm.
easy. You just leave them on your counter beside something you do
Hmm.
all the time. And so I make sure that's really established, and they really understand why they take what they take. So lots of education, constant reminders of that. And when I notice that they're really having a good experience with the product, and they really love it, you can tell, then I say, have you ever thought of creating an income with doTERRA? Because you really love the product. Would you like to tell others about it and create an income? So the conversation starts like that. And depending on how they answer, yes, but I don't have a lot of time, then, we go into that. You can put 5 hours, you can put 10 hours, you can put 40 hours. What you create is what you decide to create. And there is no there's no set box that you have to fit into. It is
Mm-hmm.
yours, really. So that's how the conversation starts. And then from there, at the beginning, I would say I was an information overload kind of girl. And some of it was like the Launch to Elite. Someone would say yes, and I would just put them in the Launch to Elite. And then sometimes they would do the program, but then they would fizzle out because it was like too much, too fast. And I realized that it's not because someone says they want to do the business that they really understand what that means.
Mm-hmm.
So I start them a lot slower and I feed them depending on their hunger.
Mm-hmm.
So if they schedule the classes right away, if they go through the document right away, then I'm like, okay, let's give that next, rather than just dumping everything on them and hoping they figure it out. So that seems to be working a lot better. Also, I
Amazing.
noticed the importance of community and
Mm-hmm.
just how the energy of community really influences how well they do in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Because unlike me, and this is where you learn not everybody's like you. Some
Mm-hmm.
people function different. So I'm totally fine by myself, and I'll do my thing because I'm not doing it for anybody else, and I don't feed off people's energy that much.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that a lot of people do, and that when we create some kind of community, whether it's in person, online, but opportunities for people to be together, to
Mm-hmm.
share their successes, like what you're doing today,
Mm-hmm.
to share their story, to hear the wins and the fails of others and how they
Mm-hmm.
overcome that is, and that sisterhood, that brotherhood that develops from that it has a
Mm-hmm.
really big impact on success. So
It's so
I make
true.
a lot more effort now to do that.
And what do you do to help build community?
Well, consistency with being online with my team group, just
Mm-hmm.
trying to really foster that, creating different like challenges and things with different teams so that we have the chance to participate in something together. It's usually like for a month-long thing or a 6 weeks kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
so that we're interacting more. Ongoing,
Mm-hmm.
I find, some people are in and out, but when we do these short bursts of
Mm-hmm.
challenges, or maybe like the program requires some accountability, they have an accountability partner, they make friends that way, and it lasts beyond that,
Mm-hmm.
that one program and that one little challenge thing that we did together. And that really helps. My team is pretty spread out, so doing in-person things, it's good, but we don't gather everybody that way. So I would love that. It's just not physically possible other than convention. So convention is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Hmm.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you so, so much. I'd love to open it up to others who have questions. So if you want to raise your hand, we can bring you on live. Or if you don't want to come on live, you can just put your comments in the chat. So I love all the comments. People totally loving your advice, your journey, your wisdom. Okay, Sandy is raising her hand. You want to rejoin as a panelist, Sandy?
Good morning, and thanks so much for your great presentation. How and where do you find your builders, or are you building strictly from customers?
I mean, so far it's been from customers. In my downline, I'm aware of people that have been enrolled for the business, but it was not personally by me. So in my personal enrollments, it's all been from customers, all been from people that have a passion for the product. And then I invite them to take the next step and share with others. So that's been my.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's been mine too, but I just did both. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Great question. Thank you, Sandy. All right, who else has questions for Veronique? How do you have like an English version of your name or
No, I just let people struggle with my name.
all right, you say it for us.
No, you did it really good, actually. Veronique, yes.
Awesome.
Um,
Okay.
I see a comment here. It says, I love that mindset. Some people are in doTERRA for a season.
Mhm.
And, I just want to come back to that for a second, because that is that's a painful thing to learn. because we get really attached to people, and we get attached to also the potential that we see in them, and it's really frustrating when it goes unfulfilled and you're like, but you could have
Mm,
this, like this could have been so good for
mhm,
you, just want to shake them, right?
mhm. Yep.
But I have wasted so much energy, so much time in continuing to try to pull on people that they
Mm,
just didn't want it for themselves. So that's been a really big lesson for me, and just coming to terms, well, I know in my heart that I'm here for the long haul, but maybe that
mhm,
was never their call. Maybe that was never for them. Maybe they were here for a specific reason for these 3 years that they were with me, and I just need to let them go.
mhm,
Faster you learn that, the better, because it also helps you develop this spirit of abundance.
mhm,
A lot more out there. There's a lot more people that are ready for what we have to offer. But when we focus all our energy on that one person that just has it in
mhm,
their hands but won't do anything with it, well, you're not looking outwards at all the people that are ready. They're missing
mhm.
out, you're missing out. And so highly recommend to learn that lesson pretty fast.
That is so, so powerful. We do, it's so easy to slip into attachment. They said they were going to build, they committed, they told me, come heck or high water, I'm doing this thing, and then they're gone. And so
Yes.
we start creating stories, right? Stories about you should do this or you shouldn't do that, and you should show up this way and not that way. And it's that's the path of pain. The path of
Yeah.
attachment is so
Their
such pain.
connections and not so much their
Mhm.
word.
Yes, yes. And I love that concept of seasons. Celestine is asking, how do you identify the lady you want to invite as a builder?
Well, an on fire customer, and that's someone that is on rewards, is active in your social media, and you just
Mhm,
feel like they have that passion, they have that love for doTERRA. And assuming that they know that there's something else they could do with this is the worst thing, because most people don't realize what doTERRA could be for them,
mhm,
what could happen if they decided to really share with people and make this
mhm,
a life mission. So we have to constantly find ways to tell them about the business, and because it's just so different from other network marketing companies, right?
yeah.
So I find that most people, when I talk to them about the business, they're right away thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna become a rep, and like it's this
Mhm,
sell person." I'm like, "No, this is so much more." I get
mhm,
them to read the leadership magazines online, and
mhm,
just to be exposed to other people's stories. They realize quickly that, oh, I
mhm.
can really create something with this that is a lot more than hauling buckets, right?
Yeah.
Someone asked if I've taken my strengths assessment. Yeah, I don't remember my top five. I just remember belief being my number
Mhm,
one. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I was at one of the diamond retreats, and I think Eddie Villa was actually there, and he said, "Well, Emily's first strength is belief. So why don't you talk to
mhm,
her?" And she came over and explained to how it had been good for her in her journey to
mhm,
have belief at the top of her strength. So that
mhm,
that helped me. But yeah, that's my strengths are all in the like the relationship and
mhm.
so not so much in the what was the
Yeah, there's strategic thinking,
oh, strategic.
there's
Yes.
relationship. Gosh, help us out, folks. What are the other categories? Yeah, that's interesting. Lots of relationship.
Hmm.
Um, okay, we have a question who somebody puts in the Q&A. They say, I'm from Brazil. My question is, they used a word that's not English, so I don't know. I think they're asking, I'm going to run this through ChatGPT, but I think they're asking, how do you decide what you need to do? So let's go with that until I get the translation. How do you prioritize your time, your energy? How do you create your action plan for the week to be the most effective?
That's such a good question, and I think that's where a lot of people kind of get lost, because there's lots of things we can do. lots of things that are good. There's lots of things that are fun. Some of them are not so fun. And I think also we often look for, okay, what action could I do that would be the most impactful today? The thing is, if you haven't read The Slight Edge, I highly recommend it. But the things that we do in doTERRA that have the most impact are super simple. And
Mhm.
it's not like you get to diamond because of this one big breakthrough. It's just
Mhm.
the accumulation, the
Mhm.
compounding effect of you're
Mhm.
talking to people every day,
Mhm.
of you reaching out, of you following up. So I always prioritize new contacts every day. I don't necessarily give myself a number, but I'm going to reach out to new people every day, whether it's online or in person. And what does that look like? So I said I was introverted, right? So for me, I have to think about it because automatically I will say no to people. Can
Mhm.
I come over? Or, do you want to come over and have coffee? I'd be like, yeah, no. But in my new self, I say yes to these opportunities. Oh, meeting people, yes. People coming over, yes. That's a contact. So just intentionally talking to new people every day and then following up. I have my little list and I do that every day, prioritize that, make sure that I have classes scheduled that I am always inviting to, that are in my calendar, a link to all of my things um, so that I have something to invite to if need be. However, lately I found that I get enrollments a lot in just one-on-one conversations. I am pretty active on social media, not so much in like, oh, here's this product, it does this, but I have started talking more about my lifestyle. I'm very active, and what I found is people are like, how does she have all this energy? And so we get chatting. I'm like, okay, you need this, 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 and that. And that's how it's been happening. So I use all channels. I just make sure that I'm visible. People know what I do, people know what I offer. I have classes, I talk to a lot of people, and I follow up with them depending on what we're talking about.
Mhm.
And but you'll find that people always talk about their health. So I'm just very open. I'm like, okay, like these are some solutions to some of your pain points, and here you go.
I love that. I love that. People love to talk about their health, and believe it or not, people are always broadcasting their pain points
Yeah.
and what their needs are. So if we can train ourselves to hear what it is that what are their unmet needs, that's the key. That's
Absolutely.
the gateway in, the foot in the door, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we miss out on some of these opportunities because we're not really in tune. Like when doTERRA becomes your lifestyle, like because when people ask me how many hours do you work in a week, I don't know. I had a renter in my cottage, so when we came here, on July 1st. She had forgotten something. And so she came in and picked it up. And we got chatting, and she's telling me about her immunity. And she saw that I had left some oils. And so we got talking about oils. So I enrolled her in that moment. But I know in, before maybe I would have been like, oh, I don't know her that much. I'm not gonna da, 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 whatever story we tell ourselves. But I'm like, no, you're like, you need this. Hey, have you ever used essential oils for your immunity? They do this, this, and that, right? So we have opportunities all the time that are not like, oh, this is during your work time. It's life. It happens, and we have these solutions. So I talk about it all the time. Yes, solutions to pain
Yeah,
points.
so true. Okay, Jeff, I think you came on to ask a question.
Yes, and thank you for having this wonderful interview today, Veronique. You have a great energy. Thank you for sharing it with us. I too like talking to people in person better than online. Online is a skill that has to be, for me, has to be learned and practiced. But I was curious, and you touched on it a little bit there in the last segment about, I meet people at shopping in grocery stores and services, and I get to talking to them. seems like you do. How do you transition from that casual conversation to, hi, it's nice to see you. You've got, like Elise says, you don't want to say, oh, I see you've got healthy things in your grocery cart. You must want natural solutions. How do you transfer from the casual conversation to, solutions? Because you're only there for a moment, and to follow up there with the future, as a 60-year-old guy, getting somebody's phone number, particularly women, is challenging. No, you don't want to come off as I'm trying to hit, I'm happily married. I'm not trying to get phone numbers for that. I'm trying to connect people with solutions. I like your service oriented. It is beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, did I ever in a grocery line, I mean, it can be done, absolutely. I think that it really depends on how the conversation is going. If someone is sharing, oh, I have such a migraine today, like, you just ask a question. Have you ever tried essential oils for that? Like, are you familiar with that? And that's why we carry our samples with us, right? So they can have that experience right there and then. Because if you do that, oh, where do you get that stuff? That becomes really, really easy. But if you don't, just asking a question, I feel is not, it just comes really naturally. And you gauge their interest depending on how they answer that question. And that's where having classes already scheduled can be really handy, because rather than, like, you sending a link to a cart right away, it might not be where they're at. Maybe they want to learn. I know that for me, if I'm standing in a grocery line, I'm sharing that I have a migraine. Someone's like, hey, have you ever tried this? I'd be like, no, what does it do? If they invite me to learn more about it, I'll go check it out. That really feels like a service, doesn't it? So, so inviting to a class would be right there and then. I don't know if you have anything to add, Andy, but I think that's what I would do.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Great answer. Jeff, any other questions?
I need to start having classes somewhere. We live out in the country, and it's a trek here. That's not conducive to classes yet, so that's been a hang up. But I do appreciate your answer and energy, and I will find a way. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, and I like that. I like your answer. I will find a way. You absolutely will. And maybe something else that you can do is having something online. That works too. When you've met the person, in person, that contact, that connection is made, it's a lot easier to invite to an online class. And it can even be a recording. If the recording is not too long, you can say, I have a recording where I explain how I use these oils for, these type of things, for about 80% of things that come your way on a regular basis. I made a 20-minute video. Would you be interested in watching it? That can be a thing.
Advice. Thank you. That one's awesome. That fills the void there, the cross. Thank you.
No problem.
I look forward to meeting you someday at convention. You're awesome.
Yes.
Thanks, Andy, for this interview.
Thank you, Jeff. Awesome. Well, does anybody have any other questions? This is a rare opportunity. Becky Veronique is from Canada, originally from Quebec, and now in
Ontario. Yeah.
Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So English is second language, but you have amazing English. That's
Thank you.
so impressive.
I'm speaking at convention for the first time this
Oh
year.
my goodness.
So you guys cheer me on.
Congratulations. That.
I think at first when I said yes, I was like, yeah, no problem. Now it's kind of building up. I'm a little nervous.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh,
People are asking for your Instagram. Do you mind sharing that? Awesome. And for those watching the replay, it's Veronique_Golloher. So I think the replay doesn't always capture the chat. Awesome. Celestine asks, how often do you have classes?
How often do I have classes? Right now, we have one main one a month, and the rest of the time, I'll send a specific recording because we have so many now. If someone tells me I really struggle with pain and I can tell they want to learn more before they purchase, sometimes I'll make a few suggestions, and if it goes quiet, I'm like, okay, here you can learn in 25 minutes. We put our best solution in there. You're going to understand why I am saying what I'm saying. And so I send them that link to that class. So I have all of those in a playlist in my YouTube. We do our continuing education, really issue focused. So, we'll have one on sleep, one on stress, one on immunity. We even had one during May was tick prevention month. So we did one with an expert on that. So I tried to go and get people teaching with us that have experience in that specific area. And then we utilize those in our follow-ups and for enrollment. So our classes are not always live, but we make sure that we have one every month for sure.
I love it. Fantastic. Any other questions? What parting advice would you give to someone in doTERRA? They're thinking about the business, or maybe they've been doing the business, not seeing the success they'd like. What advice do you have for them?
I think first thing would be to never quit on your vision and your dream, and feed that vision and that dream. And I actually did a team call about that yesterday, because we see a lot of people continuing in doTERRA in the business, even though they're discouraged and they're maybe they don't really believe that the pipeline will ever flow anymore. And I find that really changes the energy, but also the type of actions they take, who they talk to, and all of that. And so what I spoke on was feed that dream, feed that vision. Consider it your job to go and listen to stories of people that have success, and gather the clues and follow those, and don't quit on that vision that you have to reach that particular rank, even though it feels so far and it feels so attainable. It's not. Listen, I wish I could show you a video right now of me in 2014. You would have been like, it's the same person? How can this? I've grown so much, and we all do. But you have to stick with it. Stick with your vision. So not just the work. Sometimes we get into a routine, and there's people that have really good work ethic. They'll do the work, but they're like, oh, but what's happening? Well, did you quit on your vision? Do you really believe that the pipeline will flow? Because doTERRA's opportunity is very real, and it's real for everybody, and it's possible for everybody. But your mindset is part of your work. Really make sure that you work on that and constantly upgrading that. When you reach a wall, when you reach a blockage, don't try to find a way around it. Really lean in and work on that, because upgrading your mindset will help you upgrade also in your business and the results that you are getting. So that would be my first thing. And also what I've witnessed over the years is people are really passionate about the product, but then they never talk about the business. They're like, how come I'm not getting past Premier or Silver? Because things after that are not for you to just go on your own. We go there together. And people really struggle with seeing themselves as a leader. And so I think that when you realize that what you're doing with your customers, when you are helping them getting from point A to point B in their health, you're leading them. You are a leader. You already have it in you. You have the skill set in you. You just need to transfer that into getting a person that is interested in creating an income with doTERRA, and you just show them the way. And I often hear, oh, but I don't have success yet. How can I talk about the business? Listen, you are just showing people the way. The rest is up to them. You are helping them, showing them how to, but the actual work is on them. So you don't have to feel any pressure that you have to be at a certain point and just show off how amazing you've done. You're showing how amazing doTERRA is and what they can create with this, and the rest is up to them. So it's you saying, hey, come along with me, we'll go there together. And I think those two things would be my closing points.
I love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
We get to be the CEO and the guardians of our vision, right? It's so easy to outsource, and try to think, Well, if I feel inspired, then I'll do it. If I want, if I have excitement and energy for it, then I'll do it. But to create anything meaningful and lasting requires real vision and real consistency. And I love the way the language that you use to speak to that is so powerful. Well, thank you, Veronique, so much for coming on and sharing with us your doTERRA journey and what's worked and what's served you in building to a diamond team. We're so excited to hear from you at convention.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. This is fun.
It's so good to have you on, and blessings to you and your beautiful family.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, and we will see you at convention.
All right, see you at convention, guys.